Coming up on today's coaching-free version of the Cowboys Report, we break down Mel Kiper's latest 2025 NFL mock draft and his selection for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, do you want me to do another Cowboys mock draft, even if maybe you're not feeling the greatest about this team? I get it. Do me a favor. If you do want that mock draft from me, 7 rounds, of course, maybe we do trades this time too, like the video right now. First, let's run through the picks made by Mel Kiper. So Cam Ward goes number 1, Travis Hunter 2, Shedeur Sanders 3, Abdul Carter goes number 4. You were never hoping to get those guys anyway. Mason Graham, never had real hopes of getting those guys, let me clarify. Mason Graham in the same bucket, number 5. Would be lovely to get McMillan. He goes number 6. I think that's reasonable. Michael Williams and Jalen Walker, a pair of Georgia defenders off the board at number 7, at number 8. Guys, especially Walker, have been linked to the Cowboys. Will Johnson goes number 9, the Michigan corner to the New Orleans Saints. That'd be a fun option for Dallas. Both of the Mel's top offensive linemen off the board next here with Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks. So those 2 linemen not available. That leaves, I'll mention 10 names. Not all of them are necessarily the most realistic or most desired, whatever, but I just want to mention them. Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State running back. Luther Burden, the Missouri wide receiver. Emeka Egbuka, the Ohio State receiver. Tyler Warren is there, the Penn State tight end. Josh Simmons, if healthy, might have been the first offensive tackle, and still might be off the board. Defensively, Kenneth Grant, Jihaad Campbell, Mike Green, who has a lot of fans, are available. Shemar Stewart out of A&M is there. Malaki Starks, but can you take a safety in round 1? I'm sure many of you want Ashton Jeanty to be the pick, but at number 12, Mel Kiper takes Luther Burden, the Missouri wide receiver, which I do think is a very real possible outcome for the Dallas Cowboys from a pure player value perspective and just where they'll be on general boards. Boy, Jeanty sure stands out there. We'll break down the Burden pick and Jeanty, and Mel explains his reasoning why as well. But let's say that's how the board falls. You take Burden over Jeanty. Grade the potential pick of Burden. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Now, Burden didn't have the best production this past year. I wouldn't, though, necessarily freak out about that. He was very productive in previous years. And I think just some injuries and really Missouri's offense and passing game just not being that great overall had some big factors to do with the decline in production. Here's the argument from Mel. Putting Burden's valuable after-the-catch ability opposite CeeDee Lamb would open things up for Dak Prescott. Dallas has been looking for a 1-2 receiver punch in the offense. It hasn't had 2 receivers over 700 yards since 2001 when Amari Cooper was still in town. Burden has the explosive traits to change that. Now, Burden's numbers were down this year. There was also, was it the bowl game or was it the Bama? No, I think it's the Bama game where he had the giant touchdown that got called back due to, maybe it was a Georgia game. I'm forgetting which game it was. He had like a 70-yard score called back due to holding away from the play. Would have drastically boosted his numbers. He was awesome in 2023. So I wouldn't, it was the A&M game. It's the A&M game. That's what I'm thinking of. Burden is a good football player. He's a really good football player. I think Mel's right. The after-catch ability being a real, actual secondary receiver option, number 2 to this team does not have right now because it's not Brandon Cooks as a free agent. It's not Tolbert. It's not Mingo. Adding Burden to that mold fits really well with what the Cowboys need. I do think as you look at this team and look at some of their biggest needs, adding a second playmaker, adding a second impact option in the passing game in particular, running back also a big need, don't get me wrong, is a must this offseason. God forbid something happens to CeeDee Lamb. We're trotting out, as we saw down the stretch here, Jalen Tolbert, Mingo, Brooks, in theory, Turpin, and Flournoy. Come on. That's disgusting. So I do think, we'll talk about the Jeanty angle here in a little bit, but I do think if Burden's there at 12, that is one of the top candidates as we sit right now in early January, or late January, of course, for the Dallas Cowboys. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can get the, looking at conference championship games here, get the Jaden Daniels anytime passing yard. Just needs one. That's it. It's the free square, so to speak. Do the flex play like this that I have with McLaurin, Cook, and Saquon all involved, because if you get one wrong, you still come out on top. It's available in 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's talk Jeanty here, by the way. Ashton Jeanty actually fell all the way down to number 20 to the Broncos in Mel Kiper's NFL mock draft, which I think there's a chance he goes top 10. And we've mentioned the Bears and the Raiders as potential destinations there. Mel did acknowledge the running back side of things, saying, yes, it's a mock draft without the Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty going to Dallas. I think it's possible the Cowboys will take Jeanty. There's no argument they need to get a boost to the run game, but I imagine they'd first try to fix that hole in free agency. And regardless, the team has to find playmakers all over, period. When it comes to Jeanty, I get there's question marks about the value of drafting a running back so early, but I know when I finalize my board, weeks, months from now, he'll be in the top 10. He is a top 10 lock. And I'd be a little surprised if you had multiple top 10 players on the board when he was, if he's there at number 12. I'd be surprised if there were others that you might not have very many first-round grades left, even. So I think Jeanty fits the best player available mold, potentially. And if you can do your job once in the offseason, and if you can fill all your needs before the NFL draft, then you feel better about taking a running back, don't you? As things sit again, right now, still very, 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 very early in the offseason, pick one to draft. AJ for Ashton Jeanty or LB for Luther Burden. We'll include a trade rumor that I've seen suggested out there, and I'll break it all down for you. Bleacher Report listed the Cowboys as a trade candidate to send a third-round pick for Cooper Kupp. That's right, a third-round pick for Kupp. Now, I think all of us would agree he's a lot better than the aforementioned Cooks and Tolbert and Mingo and Brooks and Flournoy and Jalen Cropper and everything else there in terms of getting an actual legitimate number 2 wide receiver. There are massive issues with this trade, though, beyond the talent perspective. The impact has declined. He's not the near 2,000-yard guy he was back in 2021. He's been more 700 because he's missed time. If you get Cooper Kupp on this team, you can bet he's going to miss 5 games or so. That's what he's done at least the past 3 seasons. He's not going to be healthy for you for an entire season. It's just not going to happen. So you have to factor that in. Third-round pick is a lot to pay for 700 yards of offense, isn't it? Granted, compared to the 100 yards you got from Jonathan Mingo, maybe it feels better for the 4th. The biggest issue I have here for not just the way the Cowboys run their business, but the way I want to operate things too, the money. Kupp's got a nearly $30 million cap hit. The Rams would save $7.52 cutting in before June 1st. They'd save $15 million with a post-June 1st cut. Pre-6-1, which is when you trade him because it's before the draft, the Rams would save $12.5 million. Not insignificant savings. The Cowboys, or any team that takes on a Cooper Kupp contract, would owe $20 million to Cooper Kupp this upcoming season. That would essentially be guaranteed because you're trading for him. Next year, you'd owe him just under $20 million. That's a lot of money for an older, banged-up receiver declining. They never wanted to pay Amari Cooper that amount of money. So would you trade, knowing all that you know right there, for Cooper Kupp? Type in T for your trade for him, P for your pass. I want to be clear. I don't think there's any NFL team out there that is willing to trade a third-round pick to pay aging, injured Cooper Kupp $20 million this season. I just don't think that's, again, sometimes Bleacher Report's trade ideas, they just don't understand certain things. I don't know what team would make that trade. That just doesn't make fiscal or football sense, frankly. Now, in the event Cooper Kupp gets cut, hey, let's revisit. That doesn't impact the Cowboys' precious comp pick formula, and it would be far cheaper than $20 million. And as stuff happens throughout the offseason, we will have you covered. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV.